the Pay Yourself First budget, how to implement this strategy to build up a savings relatively quickly. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, so first off, you might be wondering, what is this Pay Yourself First business? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like, literally paying yourself before anything else. And yes, that does include the rent, the mortgage, the car payment, gas in your car, food on the table, your phone bill, utilities, and yes, even entertainment. Sounds scary, right? Well, it is sounding a little bit scary, but at the same time, it is a very effective budgeting strategy if implemented properly. So in this video, I want to discuss all the details of the Pay Yourself First budget, and I also want to talk about how to implement this properly because, as you can see, if this is implemented improperly, then yes, it could get bad really, really fast, right? So let's get into it and discuss all of these details. All right, so really quickly here, let's discuss the basics of this Pay Yourself First strategy and what you need to understand about it. So basically what you need to do is you need to figure out how much your take-home pay is, as in your net pay or after-tax income. It's all the exact same number. Essentially, how much money do you bring home on a monthly basis? And again, this could be from any types of income sources. Any money that you have coming to you is your income. It could be from earned income from a job. It could be dividend payments, royalties, commissions, rental income, child support, fixed income benefits. It literally does not matter where the income comes from. Any money that comes into you, into your bank account, or into your possession every month is income. That's all it comes down to. What are the numbers that come into you every single month? It could be $500, it could be $1,000, it could be $5,000, it could be $10,000, it could be more, it could be less, it doesn't really matter. It's virtually different for every single person. So first things first is you need to understand, what is this number? How much are you bringing home on a monthly basis? And again, very important to understand after-tax income, because who gets really paid first? It's not you, it's the IRS. The IRS gets paid first before you even see a penny. But you are next in line. You then get paid. And then you get to determine, what do you get to do with that money that you're bringing home? Well, that's where the power is in your hands, and I want to talk you through the details about it. So, for easy mathematical purposes and easy example purposes, I'm going to use some round numbers in this video just to give you some examples of how this whole thing would lay out. So let's just say that your take-home pay every single month is $1,000. Again, it's going to be different for everybody. You need to figure out what this is for you and your situation. But just for easy example purposes, I'm going to use $1,000. Okay, so let's just say that your take-home pay is exactly $1,000 every single month. Let's just say that you want to allocate 20% of your take-home pay for your savings or your Pay Yourself First. Now again, when you pay yourself, it could be going into a 401k, it could be going into an IRA, it could be going into a savings account, whatever you see fit for your situation. Again, it's probably going to be different for everybody. Maybe it's into a brokerage account where you do some of your own investing on your own. Doesn't really matter. Whatever you see fit for you and your situation. So, now that you've allocated 20% for your savings or your pay yourself, this would leave you with $800. And again, we need to adjust this number a little bit. We can all say that, yes, I want to save or pay myself 50%. Well, that probably isn't going to be realistic for the vast majority of people. Even 20% might not be realistic. Maybe it's 12%, maybe it's 15%, maybe it's 10, 7, 5, 2. It doesn't really matter the percentage point. The fact of the matter is we need to figure out what that percentage is, and we need to work with it from there. So again, going back to my example of $1,000 of your take-home pay. Let's just say in this example, we're going to allocate 20% to pay yourself. Okay, that means $200. So every single month or when you get paid, you're going to peel off the top before anybody else gets money, before the mortgage gets a payment, before your landlord gets a check, before your phone bill gets serviced, before you put gas in your car, before anything else, you're going to pay yourself your 20%. In this example, it'd be $200. And maybe you determine that you're going to split it up a little bit. Maybe you put 10% into your 401k. You put another 5% into a brokerage account where you do some investing on your own. And maybe you put another 5% into a savings account. Again, you can allocate these percentages however you desire. But now you've allocated these amounts to yourself and you've paid yourself. Now it's time to go in with the rest of the money, the extra $800, and pay the rest of your liabilities and obligations. Your rent payment, gas in your car, your utility bills, your phone bill, anything else out there, maybe your car insurance, anything else out there that you have liabilities that you need to pay on a monthly basis, that is when this comes in and you start paying those off. However, I want to throw this out there. Full disclaimer, this is not advice in any way, shape, or form. I am not responsible for your situation, and if you implement this improperly and all of a sudden it backfires, I just want to make that very clear. I'm just trying to lay this out for you and give you some examples of how the pay yourself first budgeting strategy can actually be very effective, because ultimately you are paying yourself before anything else. But here's why this is such an effective budgeting strategy, because ultimately you're allocating basically your future and your savings first before you determine how much am I going to spend on all of my liabilities, and then how much do I have left over at the end of the month. So basically what this does is it puts somebody into a mindset of, I need to produce, I need to get more money, I need to do something so I can pay myself and ultimately I can pay all my bills. It's interesting to see what goes on in the mind of the person when they actually start implementing this strategy, because all of a sudden it goes from, hey, I'm going to pay all my bills and everything first, and then I'm going to just play around with whatever's left. I'm going to save whatever's left. Well, guess what? When you implement that strategy, how much is left at the end of the month? I'm going to go ahead and guess 0, because that's just how we are operating, right? The vast majority of people come from the mindset of, I earn $1,000 a month, I'm going to pay my rent, I'm going to pay all my bills, I'm going to go out and have dinner with some friends, I'm going to meet up for happy hour with some of my friends, and at the end of the month, how much will I have left? Negative $500, right? It's usually how it works for most people, or it's just plain old 0. There's nothing left at the end of the month, because we always have a tendency to spend everything that we have. Well, if you pay yourself first, then guess what? You don't have to worry about that. You've already allocated your savings to yourself. You're basically just funding your future. First things first before anything else, and then fun comes second. So after it comes down to it, you've paid yourself, you've funded your savings account, your 401k, your IRA, your brokerage account, whatever it happens to be that you've allocated all this money to. And all of a sudden, if you pay all your bills and obligations and liabilities, if there's no money left to go and meet up with friends for dinner or to meet them up after work, things like this, then guess what? Unfortunately, you don't get to do it, right? So again, this is kind of a hardcore strategy. It doesn't really work for everybody, but for those people who are really committed and want to really get ahead and build up a savings and ultimately get out of the rat race as quickly as possible, the rat race being a job, as quickly as possible, this can be a very effective strategy. But again, you got to figure out all of your situation. Again, you need to figure out how much your income is, your after-tax income every single month. You also need to have an idea of how much are your liabilities. Again, before you just go out there and just kind of just figure out, hey, I want to save 20%, you also need to figure out, is that actually realistic, right? Is that realistic with my situation? If you earn $1,000 and your rent is $800, it's not going to be realistic. There's just no way. Because not only do you need to pay the rent, you also need to eat, you need to pay your utilities, all that other stuff like that. It's probably going to eat up the vast majority of your income, right? So I would also encourage you, as you continue to figure out these numbers, maybe try to stretch yourself a little bit. Realistically, if all of your liabilities on a monthly basis encompass, say, 85% of your income, again, that would only leave you 15% at the end of the month, or at the beginning of the month, I should say, to actually pay yourself first. But maybe try to stretch it a little bit. Try to pay yourself, say, 18% and really try to kind of get by on the other, 82%, right? So try to stretch it a little bit, because here's the thing. When we are in a comfort zone, when we are within the zone that we are comfortable, we're not growing at all. We're not doing anything. We're just kind of going along with the daily grind. But if you stretch yourself to grow a little bit, and if you stretch yourself to kind of reach beyond what you think that you're capable of doing, you're going to expand your comfort zone. And guess what? It's going to become easier. And ultimately, that 18% that you're trying to save when all of your expenses are 85%, and realistically, you should only be saving 15%. If you stretch that extra 3%, guess what? All of a sudden, it's going to be like, wait, it's just second nature. Not a big deal. I can save 18% every single month. It's not a big deal. Well, guess what? After a short amount of time, you can probably ramp that up once again to maybe 20%. So what I'm trying to say here is, try to stretch yourself a little bit. Be very diligent about this. Be very careful about this. Be methodical about this. Kind of map out the approach that you want here. And if you start implementing this, you might want to start out a little bit slow. Don't go too aggressive too quickly, because ultimately, if it doesn't work, it's not going to work out for you, right? If all of a sudden you get into it a month or two and you think, wait, this isn't working. I'm not paying all my liabilities. I'm paying myself way too much. You're going to get discouraged and you're going to stop doing it. So maybe start a little bit conservative to start, and then get more aggressive as you go. But I would also encourage you to try to stretch yourself a little bit as you try to pay yourself more, because ultimately, like I said, as you continue to pay yourself more, it just means you're going to become a little bit more comfortable with the situation, as you continue to grow yourself, right? You're going to be growing as a person in conjunction with your savings and your investment accounts or whatever it happens to be. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're like, hey, this is great. I'm saving 20%. I'm saving 18%, whatever it happens to be. I'm still doing everything that I could ever want to do on a monthly basis. And I'm putting away a bunch of money every month for my future so I can get out of this thing called a job where I'm spending 9 hours a day, 8 hours a day between commuting back and forth, between sitting at a desk, between doing whatever you do, not 8 or 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week that you're dedicating to this job, right? It sure would be nice to get out of there, or at least reduce some of that a little bit. So it can ultimately be allocated, and it can ultimately be achieved through the pay yourself first strategy. However, it's got to be something that's implemented over long periods of time. This is not something that you can implement for 2 weeks and be like, hey, I've made it. It's time to retire. No, it's not really how it works. But if you do implement this over long periods of time, a few years, you're going to start to see that, wow, this is adding up really, really fast. In fact, you're going to start to see the effects of this thing over the course of just a few months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, something like this. You're going to start to see the massive effects starting to build up on this, and you're going to get momentum because you're going to get excited about how much you're actually putting away for yourself and your future life, right? So anyway, kind of figure out some of the details on you and your situation. But again, I hope this video helps you out, gives you some ideas. I can always come back and elaborate on this strategy a little bit further, but I want to talk about the details about this because it is actually a very effective strategy. But like I said, it's also got to be implemented properly, because if it is not implemented properly, it could get really bad really fast, right? So I just want to make sure that you are aware of this. Please figure out all of your numbers first, figure out what is realistic, but at the same time, also try to kind of stretch reality a little bit, because if you're not stretching, if you're not growing, you're just going to stay in the same old place on the same old hamster wheel day after day. So if you stretch, eventually that hamster can get off the wheel and maybe go over to that little drinking thing where it licks the marble and gets a little water. You know what I'm talking about? Whatever those things are called. You've all seen it, right? But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So I hope this video gives you some ideas, gives you some strategies, and ultimately presents the pay yourself first budgeting strategy. It can be a very effective one. And if this one doesn't work for you, don't worry about it. There's a ton of other budgeting strategies out there. Of course, I do have other videos here on the channel, and I will be bringing more of these videos to you in upcoming videos here. And I want to help you out, because here's the thing. Maybe this one doesn't work for you, but guess what? I bet there's another budgeting strategy out there that will help you out to help you achieve your financial freedom and the goals that you have financially. So just stick with it. You'll eventually find a grind that works best for you, something that jives with you and your personality. You just got to keep looking and seek, and you shall find. So anyway, hope this video helps you out. Again, thank you so much for watching this. Subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out some of the other thousands of videos right here on the channel. And make sure to stay tuned, as I will have many more budgeting and money type videos, finance, also investing, and all kinds of other videos like this coming up in the future as well. As things are changing, I'm here for you to help you out in any way that I possibly can. Money's tight right now, and I want to make sure that I'm helping you grab as much as you can and ultimately save as much as you can so you can transform your financial life. So again, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe, share, and go back and check out the other thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, enjoy your day, and I'll catch you again later in the next video.